All righty. There we go. All right, you guys. All right, you guys. Let's talk about it. Let's get off into it. Let's get off into it. Let's talk about it. We're talking about the Experian hack or whatever that we're talking about, the Experian hack or the Experience lawsuit and what it consists of and how you can use the permissible purpose section to actually sue and get paid off this experience that you're having with these companies or this in particular company, Experian. So let's get off into it. The CFPB sues Experian for sham investigations of credit reports. Experian does not properly investigate disputes and fails to remove or reinsert errors on reports threatening customers access to credit, employment, and housing. So now the Washington, D.C. has on here for today. Guys, let's just read this real quick before I take a dive off into it. Like we diving right off into it. The Washington, D.C. today, and this is on I think January the 7th, so it's fairly new. If you got a dispute in right now and you have been getting your stuff to come back verified or validated, and they haven't been giving you the disclosures or requirements, information that's if it's not accurate or it's not verified or validated, it's not complete, then they are violating your consumer reports, right? So I say it's January the 7th, 2025, when this lawsuit became, brought to the table and, exercise. So today, the Consumers Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, sued Experian, the nationwide consumer reporting agency, for unlawfully failing to properly investigate disputes. So if they are unlawfully investigating disputes, what does that mean in your case, in your situation, and how can you sue them for like improperly investigating your dispute? So have you sent a letter to Experian and they sent a letter back saying that it's verified that, did they not say nothing at all? Did they continue reporting this information? Did they give you the reason why they continuing to report this information? And did they tell you what was going on with it? If not, then you may have some incomplete, unverified information, some inaccurate information being reported on your consumer report, your credit report, or in a report that contains your data information on it. So the CFPB alleges that Experian does not take the sufficient steps to intake, process, investigate, and notify consumers about consumer disputes, resulting in the inclusion of incorrect information on credit reports. Inaccurate or false information on consumer reports can threaten consumers' access to credit, employment, and housing. So that is how this invalid uh, process negatively affects the consumer in this case. So, if it's false information that's being reported on your consumer report, it threatens the consumer to the access of credit, employment, or housing. So if you've been denied access to credit, employment, or housing due to the fact that you disputed negative information on your credit report and they continue to report it without verification or validation, and it's destroying the ability to apply for credit, employment, or housing, you have been affected in this situation right now. So just say you dealing with a credit reporting agency. In December, they wrote a letter out saying that, this information don't belong to me, it's inaccurate, it's incomplete, and they sent you back, well, it's complete, it's verified. And when they sent you that stuff back, they don't in their database have the information that's required to even validate that information as accurate or complete or validated. Then they don't have the permission from the CFPB or any Fair Credit Reporting Act rules and regulations or guides or codes to report this information in the first place. So a lot of y'all don't understand that the consumer reporting agency or your credit report revolves on information that revolves around you, and it must be accurate and it must be complete. We should have learned that by first reading section 604 when we talk about the permissible purpose section, and it lets you know how that data entry must be entered in the first place and what requires the procurement of this consumer report. So when consumers disputed errors on the credit reports, it said when consumers disputed errors on credit reports, Experian conducted sham investigations. So it's a sham investigation. It's really not an investigation. They conducted investigations that wasn't necessary to protect your privacy, to protect your rights, to protect you as the consumer, which is violates your consumer rights, or it stops you from stop you from the access of credit, employment, or housing, or anything like that. So now you must dispute this information, and if you disputed it and they came back verified, validated, or they didn't say nothing at all, or they didn't delete the information that you requested to be deleted, moved, or modified, now it's a lawsuit problem. So when consumers disputed errors on their credit reports, Experian conducted sham investigations rather than properly reviewing the disputes as required by federal law, said CFPB Director Rohit Chopra. So, if I said that name, drop it in the comments, what the correct name is. You can say the name if you want to. Drop that name inside the comment section. Help me with the name Rohit Chopra. All right, so that's going to be the CFPB director. If you need some information concerning that, check that out. He's definitely the director. He can him or his assistants can assist you a little bit better in this situation. So it says the credit reporting errors can have serious consequences for families' finances, and it's critical that credit reporting giants follow the law. So if they consider themselves one of the biggest credit reporting agencies in the United States of America, Experian should definitely be following the laws of to protect the rights of the consumers at hand. So Experian, based in Costa Mesa, California, Costa Mesa, California, is one of the nation's three largest credit reporting conglomerates. Experian is a subsidiary of Experian PLC, which is LSC Experian or ESPN. A global, and that's not ESPN, that's EXPN. It's a global data broker and analytic company headquartered headquartered in Ireland. Experian maintains information on most families in America. Experian markets, advertise, sales, offers, and provides credit scores, credit reports, credit monitoring, and other related products to consumers and third parties. Information in consumer reports is provided to Experian by data, further including banks, credit cards, companies, and debt collectors. The consumer reporting agency sells its consumer reports to creditors and businesses who are evaluating whether to offer a consumer's various products, services, and opportunities, such as loans, employment, or housing. So that's what Experian does, you guys. It's a big fish. It's a whale in the industry, which means that it should not be violating your consumer rights, y'all. Have you been violated by this Experian issue? Have you been sending in dispute letters and getting sham investigations back? You can get access up to $100 per violation if this is you right now today. So the CLPB alleges that Experian has violated the Fair Credit Reporting Act's requirements for handling consumer disputes in numerous ways. So what are these numerous ways that they have been violating handling these consumer disputes? So specifically, the CLPB alleges that Experian is harming consumers. By now, listen, here go the key up to the holy grail of why or what is going on and how these reports are sham. Okay, conducting sham investigations that fail to properly address consumer disputes. So if they haven't properly addressed your disputes, you can get paid in this lawsuit with Experian in this process. So let's go. When handling disputes, Experian uses faulty intake procedures and does not accurately convey all relevant information about disputes to the original furnisher. Experian routinely and uncritically accepts the original furnisher's response to the disputed information, even when the response was improbable or illogical on its facts. So if it was improbable or illogical on its facts, that means that it wasn't accurate or complete. So they accepted this information knowing that it wasn't accurate or complete, or not caring if it was accurate or complete, or slipping the gates, slipping by, letting the companies, the big companies like Wells Fargo and all these other companies that are financial institutions, slip through the gates of reporting to them that your data is accurate, is complete, is verified or validated without going through the CLPB or the CL or the Fair Credit Reporting Act rules and regulations to actually dispute handling this dispute process when it's concerned the consumer disputing negative information on their credit report. So it says it right here in your face. Experian routinely and uncritically accepts the original furnisher's response to disputed information. So if you disputed some information, Experian, TransUnion, even Equifax, but right here specifically Experian, accepted this information. And when they accepted this information, they either knew or should have known that this information was not right. It wasn't complete, because they should have read the Fair Credit Reporting Act about handling consumer disputes. So if you're in a violation and you feel like you've been cursed out, you've been handled wrong, or anything like that when it's dealing with the CLPB, you are absolutely correct to feel that way, and they should not treat you that way. They should handle your disputes, and it should be all to the good. So at the conclusion of the investigation, Experian sends consumers notice that failed to inform them of the investigation results. So Experian sends consumer notices that fail to inform them of the investigation results. So have you sent a letter and it did not address or inform you on the investigation process? Right now is the time where you will want to join my university to learn the step-by-step process that takes place when disputing, in your disputing process that you're supposed to do every 30 days when they send you back some information and it come back verified, validated, or if they don't answer it at all. What's your next step? What are you supposed to do? And how can this help delete the negative information off your credit report? Says it right here, you got Experian sends consumers notices. They send y'all notices, knowing good and god darn well. They know good and god darn well that they fail to inform the consumers of the investigation results. Instead, it provides information that is confusing, ambiguous, and incorrect or internally inconsistent. So it's not consistent with the dispute. It does have nothing to do with what's being said in your paper, and they're not honoring the consumer, meaning they call you, stupid. You whatever your dispute is, it's frivolous. They don't have to honor it. They don't have to answer it. When they do have to answer that, they do have to honor that. The Fair Credit Reporting Act tells them that they have to honor that. They can't just, set you to the side and call your dispute frivolous unless, something takes place to make it frivolous. You did? So listen, you guys, it's important to educate yourselves on these dispute processes and exactly how they work. So let's go further. Improper reinsertion or improperly reinserting inaccurate information on consumer reports. So Experian has failed to implement basic matching tools that prevent or greatly reduce the likelihood of reinsertion by a new furnisher of a previously deleted trade line. So if the trade line was deleted, just say you had an account with Wells Fargo and they canceled out the debt and sold it to LVNV Funding. LVNV Funding started reporting this debt. So Experian improperly reinserted inaccurate information into consumer reports because it fails to match newly reported information with records of previously deleted information. Consumers who have disputed the inaccuracy of an account and thought that their consumer reports had been corrected instead see the same inaccurate information reappear on their consumer report without explanation under the name of a new furniture. So before I even read it, I told it to you guys because I know this process well, and I want you guys to learn this process too. It's nothing strange about this process. So if you've been dealing with a credit reporting agency like Lexington Law just got sued, or not Lexington Law, but the credit repair company just got sued for helping people fix their credit, and they couldn't help them, probably due to the fact a lot of them couldn't keep their payments situated. But due to the fact of the laws that's governing the states and things of that nature, some companies are not allowed to provide a credit repair service before receiving a credit repair service. And so if that is your company and you're in the state of Alabama, you may be facing some legal consequences for doing so. Me, myself, personally, I like to teach consumers, credit repair companies, credit reporting agencies, or whoever need to procure or have a consumer report, the education on how they can have this information so they can know if they're doing the right thing or not. You know what I mean? And this is nowhere near legal advice. I'm just sharing with you guys my experience on what works for me. A lot of things don't work, but what I know that do work, I'm bringing it to you guys in full fledged. And we're going to shake this thing all the way out. So here it is, you guys. Y'all hearing the words being dropped right after I speak them to you. In addition to the alleging violations of the Fair Credit Reporting Act requirements, The CLPB alleges that experienced faulty dispute intake procedures and failure to provide consumers with consumer submitted documentation, uncritical difference to furnishing responses to disputed information, and failure to prevent improper trade line reinsertions. Also violate the Consumer Financial Protection Act, prohibition under or on unfair acts of practices. So enforcement action. Here go you guys enforcement action on how you can sue Experian right now in this lawsuit with the CFPB to actually receive a remedy to get paid for having bad debt, right? Bad credit. So under the Consumer Financial Protection Act, the CFPB has the authority to take action against institutions violating consumer financial protection laws. So, including the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or the FCRA, and the prohibitions on unfair, deceptive, or abusive acts or practices in the CLPB or the CLPA. The CLPB's lawsuits seek to stop the company's unlawful conduct. So they're seeking to stop this stuff, man. They got to stop this stuff. They got to stop reporting this information that's inaccurate or complete. And they have to go through these processes. They need to be making sure that this data is accurate, that it's complete. And if it's not, they must delete this information. I'm telling you guys, do you want to get paid for having bad credit? This is how you get paid for having bad credit. Beef up your knowledge. Join the university. Listen, man, I'm going to beef you guys' knowledge up on exactly how to delete information and how you can possibly sue in the process. All right? So the CLPB's lawsuit seeks to stop the company's unlawful conduct to provide redress for harmed consumers. So if you were a consumer and you was harmed, they doing this for you. And the imposition of civil money penalties. So if you need, I just told you guys, y'all want to get paid, y'all get paid right here. So the imposition of civil money penalties, which would be paid into the CLPB's Victim Relief Fund. So the Victim Relief Fund is what consumers who have been facing this process gets paid by the CLPB for going after these people for negatively, reporting inaccurate information on your consumer report. All right. So if you've been facing any of these things for any one of these companies, then you need to check your credit report and see if, hey man, did you send something to Experian lately? Even Equifax, they got a lawsuit boiling right now as well. I can show it to you guys. It was probably on here earlier, but Equifax got a lawsuit boiling too. They suing these people left and right every day, usually around Christmas time, always. But you can get access to this fund, to this money as well, just by hey man, listen. Start disputing this negative information on your credit report, on your friend's credit report. Get everybody paid because they are not handling y'all information, man. So Victim Relief Fund, let's just look at Victim Relief Fund. What is the Victim Relief Fund? Civil Penalty Fund. In the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010, Congress established a victim relief fund called the Civil Penalty Fund to provide money to people who have been harmed by companies that break federal consumer financial protection laws. So if they break these laws, you guys, they got people out there for y'all now ready to read today's complaint. Say, learn more about credit reports and scores. Read the CLPB's April 2024 report on violations of credit report accuracy requirements. So, you know what I'm saying? Y'all want to know the accuracy requirements. Y'all want to read that. You see what I'm saying? Employees who believe their company has violated federal consumer financial protection laws are encouraged to send information about what they know to whistleblower at clpb.gov. So you need to blow that whistle at whistleblowers at clpb.gov to learn more about reporting potential industry misconduct. Visit the CLPB's website, you guys, is right here. And it says the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is the 21st century agency that implements and enforces federal consumer financial laws and ensures that markets for consumer financial products are fair, transparent, and competitive. For more information, visit www.consumerfinance.gov. All right, so that's going to be at the bottom of that, you guys. And so that's the action, you guys. That's the action. That's what's been taking place. All of this came from the CFPB suing Experian for sham investigations of credit reports. Sham investigations. How do you prove that they did a sham investigation? Well, the first thing you do, you get a copy of your credit report, you guys. Y'all get a copy of your credit report. Let me go and do this right here real quick. Let me see if I can do this. Boom. Let's talk about it. You get a copy of your credit report, you guys. You get a copy of your credit report. And once you get a copy of your credit report, it's real simple to know that, hey, this is what's going on. You see your name, how many names that's being reported. You should know your name and your address. So any name that does not match your name, any name that does not match your name and address, any job that you don't currently have, an address that you don't currently have should be deleted. Any name that you don't currently have should be deleted. So, it should be what you need. So in the background, y'all gonna see at the top. And if y'all want this document right here, this comment below, permissible purpose. This is gonna be talking about permissible purpose. And I also got a video that's letting you guys know about permissible purpose and what you can do. So like I said, again, y'all want to know, the process. What is the process? First, you got to find some type of inaccuracy that's being reported on your consumer report. We're going to talk about names and stuff first, the inquiries, the data entry part of it, the permissible purpose part of it, what requires for permissible purpose to even go down in the first place. So let's go ahead and dig into this because it's just 8 o'clock. It just now turned 8 o'clock, and I'm going rarely fast on this. So if you guys are ready to learn how to sue these people, y'all just need a letter. And if y'all need a dispute letter, comment dispute letter for and we'll book you an appointment to see exactly what's going on to get y'all dispute letters. You know what I'm saying? So I tell you what, since this is the permissible purpose section, comment data entry. Comment data entry if you have incorrect names, addresses, too many hard inquiries that you did not authorize, things of that nature. All right, so listen, you guys, let's dive right on in to where I can go ahead and educate you guys on some of this stuff real fast, real quick. And we're going to start right here, you guys. All right, so if you slide over, it's going to give y'all a couple of things. It's going to give you your score in the background. Please, that's some good information in the background. It's talking about the payment history. Payment history equal up to 35% the timely of payments on your credit report. You see what I'm saying? Or on your credit account. So credit utilization gonna make up 30%. That's not 35%, that's 30% there. The credit utilization is gonna be 30%, the amount of credit used, combined to your credit limit. You see what I'm saying? So you got 8 accounts, one on worth 5, one on worth 10, another one worth 20. That sounds like $35,000 worth of debt. How much you use on that $35,000 worth of debt? 20,000. So now you only got like 15,000 left. If you do the percentage of that, 15 out of the 30,000, you're gonna get the percentage, and that's the utilization. So that's how they deal with utilization on your credit report. The length of credit, how many years have you even had this credit? 5 years, 10 years, 6 months, 2 months, or 15 years. How long have you had this credit? How long have you been showing yourself to be an outstanding person, paying on time, keeping your utilization down and knocking it down? How long you been having this credit? You see what I'm saying? So them 3 powerful things, and here go a 4th powerful thing that they use. This is the information that they're talking about that's being reported on your credit report that you need to correct. All right. It makes up, like I say, the length of credit makes up 15%. So that's how long your credit account have been open, right? The mix of credit is 10%, the variety of accounts, like, a credit card account, a mortgage loan, car loan, things of that nature. New credit. So how many times you didn't apply for inquiries and stuff? And that's what we're talking about now. So the last 2 was 10-10. The credit mix 10% new credit, 10%. Right now, we're talking about permissible purpose and new credit. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act outlines rules, restrictions, and guidelines pertaining to consumer credit, credit reports, credit privacy, and credit checks. All creditors, like landlords, lenders, and banks, can only request pool credit information from the credit bureaus if they do so with a permissible purpose, not a permission, but a permissible purpose. A permissible purpose are requirements that must take place in order for them to procure or take up or pull your consumer report. Today, let's take a deep dive into what permissible purpose is under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, what it means, and what to do if your credit information is retrieved without a permissible purpose. So if your credit information, like a hard inquiry, you notice you went to a dealership, and when you came back from the dealership, you check your credit report, you had 26 hard inquiries new from yesterday, and they're all about a car, and you got denied 26 times. Well, having that said, we know that being denied 26 times is a deal breaker. It is no fun. It is a stressed out situation. No, no, no. We don't want that situation to take place in our life. And why did you even pull our consumer report 26 times, knowing that it was going to damage our credit report, knowing that we was going to get denied 9 times out of 10? Why didn't you just come up with a solution for us to actually, for me to actually leave this dealership in the car and benefit my family, be able to get to that job that I was trying to get to and things of that nature? Why didn't you do that? Why did you hurt me 26 times? And so that's when you need to know, did they even have a permissible purpose to pull your credit report 26 times? A lot of people say, well, I gave the dealership my information. Well, you gave that to the dealership, and I went in there for a consumer transaction. I didn't go in there for him to go scout me a bunch of people to pull my consumer report from. I went in there for a consumer transaction. Now, that's what he turned around and did. He turned around and violated my rights, and then it didn't benefit the consumer, which means he acted in the capacity of the fiduciary. You trusted that person to get you a car, and they destroyed whatever it was that you had faith in prior to stepping inside the dealership. So today, let's take a deep dive into what permissible purpose is on the Fair Credit Reporting Act, what it means, and what to do if your credit information is retrieved without a permissible purpose. So let's take a dive in. According to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, a permissible purpose is any circumstance or situation in which a credit reporting agency, like one of the big three, the big credit bureaus, is legally allowed to provide consumer credit information to a creditor, like a lender. Similarly, a permissible purpose includes any circumstances where a creditor can access or request the information of a consumer or a loan applicant. So if they requesting the information of a consumer or a loan applicant, they can go do this stuff, right? All right. So, hey! For example, if a mortgage loan company wants to know whether to underwrite, if a mortgage company want to know whether to underwrite a loan for an applicant, they may request information from the credit bureaus that say permissible purpose, since the applicant's credit information is a feasible, important data point in the decision. That's a permissible purpose since the applicant's credit information is a feasible, important data entry. So let's say, for example, if a mortgage loan company wants to know whether to underwrite, if they want to know whether to underwrite the contract in the first place, right? If they want to underwrite a loan for an applicant, they looking to underwrite a loan for an applicant. They may request information from the credit bureau. That's some permissible purpose. So, if they're looking to underwrite a loan, they can request that information. Here go another example. All right. Here go another example. For another example, a credit bureau may not provide credit information about a consumer because their parents asked for it. So if your parents asking for your consumer report, that's not a permissible purpose since there's no good reason for the consumer's parents to have access to the credit report or the credit information. So are y'all ready for the key elements to permissible purpose? There are two primary elements to all permissible purposes as outlined by the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The information requested is consumer specific. That is, the requested information is about one individual and their credit history, not about an entire group or the credit information about people related to them. Because of the element, credit bureaus, CRAs, may only release credit information unless it believes the information only pertains to the subject of the request. So having that said, man, we're going to talk about the straw man here for a small second, and this is nowhere near legal advice. This is not legal advice, but you guys also got to understand the day you was born with a birth certificate and a social security card, which separates yourself from real life and the matrix world or the United States citizen or state national. We don't never get properly educated on the social security card or the birth certificate. We really hardly get educated about a bank. A lot of families don't teach, especially like from the communities where I'm from, we don't teach our children about banks and stuff like that. We just don't. And it just be like that. So, it's up to us to just, start educating ourselves on this information. So, the information requested is a consumer specific. Is consumer specific. That is, the requested information is about one individual and their credit history, not about an entire group or the credit information about people related to them. So people that's related, credit information about the people that's related. See what I'm saying? To them. Because of this element, credit bureaus, credit reporting agencies may only release credit information unless it believes the information only pertains to the subject of the request. So if it only pertains to the subject of the request. So let's read that one more time, you guys, because maybe that was confusing. The information requested is consumer specific. That is, the requested information is about one individual and their credit history, not about an entire group or the credit information about people related to them. Because of this element, credit bureaus, credit reporting agencies may only release credit information unless it believes the information only pertains to the subject. If it only pertains to the subject, so they have information and data to know that, hey, this information about the subject ain't right. It's not accurate. It's not complete. And if they don't see that on the application or the request of the loan, then they can apply this data entry to this consumer because it's consumer specific. Credit information. So listen, you guys, credit bureaus or credit reporting agencies, CRAs, may only release credit information unless it believes the information only pertains to the subject of the request. The information is necessary for a valid purpose. This touches on what was broken down above. Credit creditors can't request credit information for no good reason. And credit bureaus can't release the information unless they believe the reason for the request is valid. They got to know it's a consumer specific reason. So nobody could just request your consumer report just to request it. It has to be consumer specific. If it's not a consumer specific situation, then they cannot procure your consumer report in the first place. If you guys get my drift. So right here, we're going to talk about it. For instance, if a lender wants to check the credit of a loan applicant, they can request that information because they only want the information for the loan applicant specifically. So listen, you guys, for instance, if a lender wants to check the credit of a loan applicant, for instance, if a lender wants to check the credit loan of an applicant, so I'm sorry. For instance, if a lender wants to check the credit of a loan applicant, they can request the information because they only want information for the loan applicant. So, loan applicant. If a lender wants to check the credit of a loan applicant, so we're going to say that this lender has this loan and they want to check it, the information, to see how this loan doing or whatever. They only want the information for the loan applicant specifically. Okay, so let's drop it down. They want the information to determine the loan applicant's creditworthiness as it relates to a specific loan application. So they only want this information to determine the loan applicant's creditworthiness as it relates to a specific loan application. So, hey, we got this loan on you and this relates to this, and we're going to check this to see if you're good on this so we can modify, change, and give you a new loan or whatever the situation is. So examples of permissible purpose as defined by the CFPB, you guys want to definitely read the Fair Credit Report in that because they got some interesting stuff up in there that protect you and your rights against bad debt collection act practices. So fortunately, for both consumers and creditors alike, the Fair Credit Reporting Act includes a list of all permissible purposes currently recognized under the law. It's located in the Fair Credit Reporting Act section, or the FCRA section 604. Permissible purpose includes being ordered by a court or federal grand jury subpoena. So if you haven't been ordered by a court, by a court or federal grand jury subpoena, you can't pull the consumer report. That's one of the requirements. So here go another one. Upon instructions by a legal consumer in writing. So if I put it in writing that I want you to get my consumer report, consumers can always request their own credit information. So if a consumer sends you in writing, hey man, I need this, then you can do it for that reason. So for decisions related to extensions of credit or the review or collection of a consumer's credit account. So if they're reviewing your consumer report for the collection of this account, if they're reviewing this credit report for the extension of credit, now they can do this. Now, we got to understand that they can do this. They can't go sell this collection account to another company because now you just modified our contract without me being at the table of modification. You just violated my consumer rights. You discussed it, my consumer report with companies. You gave them my name, my number, my information, all this stuff for them to come get my stuff or cut my lights off, my water, whatever the situation is. You gave them all the information that they need on my consumer data to do exactly what they need to do. And we had no business with these people. So listen, you guys, this is no illegal advice. But when it comes to collection of account, they need to be the person who's looking it up, not somebody they sold it to, because when they sell it, they modify the loan. So for decisions related to the extension of credit, is they about to extend you some credit or not? If they extending you credit, it's a permissible purpose. If they not about to extend you credit, they cannot procure your consumer report. So for decisions related to the extension of credit, or to review or to review or the review or collection. So either they reviewing it or they collecting it. So in collection, they trying to see if they need to collect. And so, like I said, only that specific company can do that. They can't sell that to somebody else. And now they looking at your credit report, pulling your credit report without your permission. So of a consumer's credit account. All right. So now let's talk about it. For employment purposes, like hiring and or promoting decisions, but only if the consumer gives written permission. For employment purposes, like hiring and or promoting decisions, if they trying to hire you or they trying to promote you, and they ask you, can they see your consumer report, and you give them permission, written permission, they can get it. If they did not get written permission to pull your consumer report, if you look at your job at Walmart and Walmart pulled your consumer report and you didn't give them written instructions, well, now they just violated your consumer rights. And you can, seek legal remedy because of that. When deciding on underwriting insurance policies upon receiving an application from a consumer. So when you decide on underwriting an insurance policies upon receiving an application from a consumer, so when you get that, when the consumer gets the application and we fill out the application, some type of insurance got to take place. Now, here go the insurance policy. The insurance is the securities, your promise to pay. And your promise to pay is all you owe on any debt. And so if you ever default on any loan, well, your insurance covers it. And you do have insurance that you may not know about. However, you need to learn about that proper insurance that you don't have, that you pay for with stamping your footprint. You pay for just by being born out the womb, and your parents cooperating with the government by having you by filling out the birth certificate information and also the social security card information. So when there is a legitimate business purpose and it's in connection with a business transaction affiliated by the consumer, a business needs to check credit for a line of credit application when a consumer wants to purchase a new car. So listen, you guys, there you go right there. Did you purchase your car for a business need or a personal need? When there is a legitimate business purpose and it's in connection, if it's in connection with a business transaction initiated by the consumer, if it's in connection with the business transaction initiated by the consumer, e.g., a business needs to check credit for a line of credit application when a consumer wants to purchase a new car. So, hey, for y'all who looking for business cars, y'all need to check y'all contract, make sure that they didn't hit y'all with the business side, which is I can tell y'all they did. And if they did, y'all need to hurry up and adjust that stuff exactly how whatever it was that they did. Because if they put it in a business and they called your name a business, then you need to recognize it as a business. And you need to go forth and do exactly what they did to unleash this stuff up off you. So when an organization needs to determine a consumer's eligibility for a license or any other benefit guaranteed by governmental instrumentality as required by law, or when considering an applicant's financial status or responsibility. See that? So when a organization needs to determine a consumer's eligibility for a license or any other benefit granted by governmental instrumentality as required by law, or when considering an applicant's financial status or responsibility. When a potential investor or service or needs information to value or access the credit, or access to credit, and or prepayment risk for an existing credit obligation. So when a potential investor or service or needs information to value or access. So if it's a potential investor, a service or a potential service, or if you need this information to value, if you needed to value some stuff or you needed to assess some stuff, the credit and or prepayment. What's the prepayment risk for an existing credit obligation? So if you're not a potential investor or service or need this information to value or assess credit, if you need to value this credit or assess this credit, you need to learn what the word value means. We need to learn what the word assesses mean to this credit and or prepayment. So, the prepayment risk for an existing obligation. So, prepayment risk. What the hell is prepayment? We ain't gonna go there. I told y'all about y'all social security card. I told y'all about y'all signature. I also told y'all this is not legal advice. My rabbit hole goes a little deep to know that prepayments are, letters of remittance and things of that nature that you don't necessarily come out of pocket from your hard-earned money, that you actually discharge these debts. But hey, man, listen, I'm just a regular guy near you. I'm just talking about how you can, possibly gain some additional income or whatever by suing Experian with this information that I'm providing you guys. So when state and or local officials need to determine child support payments or the modification and enforcement rules for existing child support payments. Given this list, it is usually fairly easy for both consumers and creditors to determine whether they have a permissible purpose to request or give out credit information. For example, if you apply for a car loan, you can bet that the car lender has a permissible purpose to examine your credit score. The car lender wants to know whether they can rely on you to pay back your loan on time in full. However, your employer doesn't need to know how your credit score. No, hold on. However, your employer does not need to know your credit score if you have already been hired and are not up for promotion. Therefore, if they want to know your credit score but are cagey about the reason, you might consider denying the request unless they tell you exactly what it's for. So let's go back up here. For example, if you apply for a car loan, you can bet that the car lender has a permissible purpose to examine your credit score. So let's take these words carefully. Car lender, that the car lender, only they got it, not everybody else. They got a permissible purpose. Lead these words carefully, you guys. This is for people who already got credit repair companies and things of that nature. You're looking to learn and access this information so you can beef up your letters the consumer law way. definitely hit me up, man. We got you guys. Unfortunately, not everyone follows the permissible purpose clauses to the letter, either intentionally or inadvertently. For instance, a creditor like a lender may request a consumer's credit information from a credit bureau as a preliminary measure to determine what kinds of loans they may qualify for. This is not a permissible purpose since it is not in conjunction with a specific loan application. So, for instance, a creditor like a lender may request a consumer's credit information from a credit bureau as a preliminary measure, how much they can measure to determine what kinds of loans they may qualify for. Can you qualify for 20, 50, 100? What kind you can, you know, what we want to give you. You see what I'm saying? They can just give it to you. So, we know judging out the permissible purpose in section 604, it doesn't give them a legitimate reason to measure that out like that. So this is not a permissible purpose since it is not in conjunction with a specific loan application. So that specific loan application should say, hey, man, this is Trey Wynn's application. He this old, this job. He's trying to get this loan, trying to get $50,000. Shouldn't say 60, 70. Well, it shouldn't be a bid on it. So, however, the credit bureaus that receive the request might approve it without looking too hard at the reason for the request. In this hypothetical cause, both the creditor and the credit bureau are guilty of violating the Fair Credit Reporting Act and its permissible purpose clause. So you can you can jump out and get both of them in these situations. Some violations happen intentionally, as in the above example, with an employer requesting credit information about an employee. Landlords may also try to request credit information about tenants after they've already accepted their lease applications. If your credit gets checked too many times, let's say this again. If your credit gets checked too many times, especially hard check, they could have a negative effect on your credit score, making it more difficult for you to qualify for future loans and other financial opportunities. Therefore, all consumers need to watch for violations of permissible purpose clauses. So y'all need to be careful when y'all doing this stuff and watch out when y'all doing this stuff. So if a creditor or credit bureau violates the Fair Credit Reporting Act and gives or requests your credit information without a permissible purpose, you have certain legal grounds and rights. For instance, say that you discover your landlord pulled your credit information after already accepting your lease. You've lived at your apartment for 2 years and you aren't up for lease renewal yet. But when you check your credit report, you discover a record of a hard inquiry check performed by your lender. Since there's no permissible purpose for this, your landlord is in violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. You could sue your landlord for violating your rights. A hypothetical lawsuit might result in monetary damages. Furthermore, you have the right to dispute the hit to your credit score that resulted from the hard credit check by filing a credit dispute letter with the credit bureaus in question. So if they done pulled your credit report and you done tried this stuff already, well, Experian is known for sham investigations. They not really disputing this information, and Equifax is known for it as well. Experian too. TransUnion too. And so, how you gonna get this information off your consumer report is simple. It's very simple. And so, you know, um, you're gonna file a dispute, letting them know that this information is not right. Now, when they come back and see the information, if this is experiencing right now, you need to use that information for the best of your abilities. And here go the smoke screen, you guys. The credit bureaus might also be in trouble. This hypothetical example is they are not supposed to give out credit information unless there is a permissible purpose. If your landlord requested credit information without needing it for an application and the credit bureau accepted the request, the organization is just as responsible for the damage to your score. So you can sue them. You can sue Experian. That's how Experian got sued right now because they're responsible for things that they were supposed to be protecting the consumers from. They're not protecting the consumers, and the consumers are not acknowledging. That's why guys like myself are uprising and explaining to you guys how these systems work. And a lot of stuff is happening now because it's 2025. They're like, man, a lot of stuff is just plain ridiculous. It is. And here we go. Let's go ahead and get to the success, to the beans, the meat of it. So it can be tough to know whether you have grounds for legal actions or whether your rights were violated in some circumstances. However, in these cases, you will be better off contacting knowledgeable legal representatives who can inform you of your rights and help you understand the best paths forward. So, having that said, you guys, I'm gonna press done here. Uh, let's see. Okay. All right. All right, you guys. Having that said, man, stop. All right, so for sure, man. Look, having that said, you guys, I just showed you guys exactly how you're gonna use uh this information to sue Experian from report from sham investigations. And if you want to go even deeper, join my university where I show you guys how to actually file in your CFPB reports and you can get access to that lawsuit information that you need. But if you already know about how uh, the consumer law protection system works, I just revealed that to you guys. That's how we was able to get a check from the CLPB, and we was able to get remedies for having bad credit. Listen, you can too, you guys. I want you guys to get your check. Wake up. Don't think that, these people are just on Facebook all the time, just, scamming and whatever the situation is. Some of this information is really is the information you need to take your life to the next level. And I want you guys to take your life to the next level. So I join this Facebook, YouTube community of financial literacy for people who on my level. Like, I'm not the highest level financial expert on this world. Matter of fact, I'm your regular day-to-day guy, man. And I just put this information out here, loading it up. And right now I just learned how, I can just use permissible purpose right now and get you guys paid that bag that you need, man. Go and get paid that bag so you guys can definitely. Oh man, look at me. I gotta definitely do something with my. I should put some grease in that. Anyway, get that bag that you guys need to take y'all life to the next level. Do not let bad credit hold you guys back any further, man. And if you already joined this today, man, I want to thank you guys for joining me today. It's been beautiful. It's been sweet, man. Stay lit in this lit financial solution. LLC. Don't miss the next chapter.